Welcome to another edition of Up Close. My name is Tsabamuzegua. Up Close is a daily current affairs show that profiles men and women making waves in their industries and gives newsmakers a human face. The program is a platform where exceptional individuals can share their stories as we hope to inspire you, the viewer. So stay with us for the next half hour as we get up close with Sibongile Mngoma. Sibongile's entrance in the music scene wasn't a surprise to many people who knew her personally and her family background. Her genes are rooted in music and she had no option but to follow in the footsteps of her famous aunt and namesake Sibongile Khumalo and grandfather Mzilikazi Khumalo. She studied a BA degree at UCT and also holds an honors degree in drama education. And she studied music further in Italy. Sibongile is a songstress with an angelic voice and she is able to sing different music genres with ease. Well, what an introduction there. Sibongile, thank you for joining us on Up Close.
Thank you for having me.
How does it feel to watch yourself? Are you able to watch yourself?
Now I am. I think now I am more than ever before because I have gotten to a point where I embrace it rather than try and be something or to please or to fit into a mold. I've gotten to a point where I'm like, whatever comes out as long as it comes from a good place.
That's fantastic. I was joking with the producer earlier on saying that you guys are the Jackson family of choral music here in South Africa.
No, more like the Kennedys.
The Kennedys.
Yeah, royalty.
Oh, music royalty. I see that. Tell us about your music background as we're broadcasting to the rest of the continent and the SADC region. Just share with us your family's background and love for music.
We grew up in a family of musicians. My grandfather was a professor of music. He was the head of the music department at the University of Zululand, Professor Mngoma. So we would get up at like 5 in the morning to practice because we had class at 6 before we went to school. And then we came back from school and we had more class from 3-ish until 5, and then you'd go rush home to cook and stuff and do your homework, and then we had to practice before you go to bed. So that was my introduction to music. Wow. So growing up as a teenager, I thought, seriously, I really don't want to do this. I just want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a musician.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, because it just felt like too much hard work.
Yes.
We practiced every day. And we had to cut our nails. When other teenagers were growing their nails and putting on nail polish, I was cutting my nails because I had to play the instrument. And I never knew I was a singer.
Okay. When did that happen? I wanted to ask you that. When was the moment that you knew you could sing?
I knew that I could sing a couple of weeks or months ago, but I mean, they told me this at varsity. And I went and did my audition after my first degree because I was lazy to go and work. Okay. So when I walked into the audition, I sang and they said, oh, great, you can sing. So they actually accepted me on the spot.
So the studies came before the singing?
Yes.
It was, okay, because, you find that with most people, it was almost like a backup plan that if this does not work out, then at least let me study something so I've got something to fall back on. That's always the story.
No, the singing was the backup.
Oh, wow.
If the law didn't work out, I was going to sing.
Wow.
So I started with the law.
So before then, you just played music instruments. What instruments were you playing?
Well, the family instrument, the violin. Okay. Everybody in my family plays the violin. And the piano and recorder. So I grew up playing 3 instruments. Then the recorder fell by the wayside first. The piano stayed because I use it to teach. The violin I still play because how else am I going to learn my music?
Yes.
So I'm not very good at sight reading when I sing. But when I play, I can learn quicker.
Why opera?
Why opera? Because at the time when I started, which was 20 years ago, nobody else was doing it successfully. So there was a gap. I took it. and it worked out.
So simply as that. But
As
how were you first introduced to it?
Like I said, it was an accident. I didn't even plan on going to study opera. You know, it was like there are auditions at the UCT Opera School. So I went and I was like, what am I going to sing though? Because I don't even know opera. I don't even listen to it. So I have no idea. So this guy gave me a score.
Okay.
He said, go learn this music. I'm like, seriously though? Like, that's a lot of music. It's like, I know you're quick, you'll catch it. So I walked in there and the pianist couldn't play the music.
Okay.
So I ended up improvising.
Okay.
No, I improvised and I sang something a cappella and it worked out. Genuinely, it worked out. It wasn't planned. None of it was planned.
And then who told you that this is something that you should pursue as a career?
At the opera school, they were like, oh, no, you're going to sing opera. You're going to stick to opera. I was like, oh, well, we'll see about that. I'll sing whatever comes out of my mouth. If it's not opera, it's not going to be opera. And that's how I stayed singing different genres. They wanted me to sing opera strictly, but it wasn't going to work out. I'm just too crazy to sing only opera.
What other genres do you sing?
I sing jazz, I sing gospel, and I sing popular music, I sing musicals, I sing anything. Anything that's got a note, I'll sing it.
Let's go back to your childhood. You went to school in KZN, you were born in Soweto. So I'm taking that you spend a lot of time in boarding school. Can you tell us about that?
Actually, I didn't. I spent my last 2 years in school, in boarding school.
Okay.
Most of the time I spent with my grandparents. I lived with my grandfather, my grandmom. We went to the University of Zululand in 1977 after the 76 riots.
Okay.
And I lived with them. I was this little brat that was spoiled by her grandparents. And when I eventually went to boarding school, it was because I realized that the fun was actually at school and not at home. Because then I didn't have to practice so much.
So it was your idea to go to boarding school?
Absolutely, totally. And I didn't even start the year in school, in the dorms. I was staying at home, and then I was like, I realized this is not going to work out. If I want to have fun, I must
if
actually
you want to spend more time with your friends.
So I said to my grandparents, you know, I don't get enough time to do my homework and really work on my schoolwork. I need to stay at hostel. And my grandmother was like, But eventually they bought into it, and that's how I got into boarding school, and that's when I really started having fun as a teenager.
You make it sound like it was quite a chore earlier on. Music.
It was.
But the feeling that I'm even feeling from you right now, and as we were watching your performance earlier, is you absolutely love what you do.
I'm passionate about it.
When did that happen? When did that switch happen?
I've always loved music, but I didn't want it to be work. You know, and even now when I teach, I always say to my students, it is that simple. Because I grew up and it never felt like it was that simple. You know, like you asked me now and you said, and it was that simple that that's how it happened. And when that happened, for me, it was like, oh, so it's okay. It can be that simple. It was a chore and it wasn't simple. Waking up at 5, why? Why? You know what? That note is going to come out, even if it's 2 in the afternoon. It's going to come out, even if it's 10 at night. So don't make me get up at 5 for a note that's going to come out at 10 at night anyways. You know what I'm saying?
But surely you've gained something from that discipline.
Oh,
you are so honest. I mean, I'm enjoying this. You know, you're supposed to be saying, "Well, you know, I'm very glad that Granddad made us wake up." You're like, "No,
no child wants to get up that early." No. Actually, the discipline and the structure. The structure. There's so much lack of structure that we face at the moment with our children. I mean, I have a teenager. Our children don't have structure because everything is so haphazard. If it's not the computer telling you what to do, it's the phone. If it's not the phone, it's the Game Boy. If it's not the Game Boy, it's the PSP2. If it's that's not that, it's the television. There's a serious lack of structure. But me being brought up to get up at 5, knowing that I had to catch a bus, and before I did that, I had to get the practice for the violin in, and to get to the school and the music school before I got to the actual school. That structure forced me. Now I'm very much a detail person. I'm actually very irritating because I'm like, everything must be just so. And that is what I learned from that discipline. But as for waking up to play notes, no. No.
We're going to hold it there. After the break, we'll continue to get up close with Sibongile Mngoma. We would like to get some suggestions and comments from you about the show. So why don't you get in touch with us at my Twitter handle. That's @Tsepi_Motsegua. Stay with SABC News. You're watching Up Close, where we give our newsmakers a human face, and we continue our conversation with renowned opera diva and songstress Sibongile Mngoma. Sibongile, your first big stage performance, do you remember when that was?
I do. That was 1993.
Okay.
It was Madam Butterfly. I was in the chorus of Madam Butterfly, and everyone saw me on TV, and they're like, "We saw you on TV." And I didn't understand what they meant. They saw me on TV because we were all in costume.
Okay.
Like, how did you know it was me? Like, the only black chick on stage. Well, guess what? I was like, oh.
Where was that? Where was
it? Was in
it?
Cape Town.
Okay.
Cape Town. It was then Cape Hab.
Okay.
Now it's called Cape Town Opera. At the time, it was still Cape Hab, so it was in the olden days.
That's where you got most of your initial stage work, opera work, isn't it?
That's where I started. That's where I cut my teeth. That's where I actually learned to appreciate and understand opera as a genre and as something I could be passionate about.
And then you finally did move on to Italy. Tell us about that experience working abroad.
I went to Italy because the conductor, there's a South African guy called Arnold Bosman who came to conduct Le Nozze di Figaro and Don Giovanni in Cape Town. When he heard me there, he's like, "You're wasted here.
Oh, really?
You need to go and be heard out there." So he took me to Italy, and I studied and worked. So I went and came back because I always said I would never leave. I would never move permanently there. And so I studied in the south of Italy in Chigiana, which is in Siena. I went to the academy there. I did 2 certificates, senior certificates in music. And then from there, I went on to do master classes with Mirella Freni and Jessie Norman. So that's how I started there, studying and working. And I did 4 big operas where I did the lead role, which was nice, but I had to come home. And I had a little child, you know, and I wasn't taking my child to Italy because I wanted him to grow up speaking Zulu. I didn't want him to grow up parlatoing the whole way.
Actually, I want to touch about that just a little later on. But working and studying overseas as a South African, how lonely is that experience?
Yeah, I'll be honest and say to you, it's lonely working as an artist in South Africa.
Oh, really?
Now, when you have to move to a foreign country, it becomes a traumatic experience. The only saving grace is that you love the music, because seriously, being an artist is lonely. Because you never know who your true friends are. You never know who is being around you because of what exposure, who they can meet through being around you. So working in Italy or studying abroad was a bit of an eye-opener, especially because I had a coach who was teaching me how to present Italian music. And I had a voice teacher who was teaching me how to sing the Italian style like the Italians. And I had a conductor who was demanding the music exactly as was. So the 3 of them sit there and say, "You can't sing." And I can't even go home after that and say,
and cry.
"Ma or auntie or malume or whoever." I'll be sitting there going, "Oh my God." And it's so far, I can't get on a taxi and go home. But you know what? I just disciplined myself to learn as much as I can. And I did. And when I got up the next time and I sang, and they heard what they were asking for, they were like, wow. I was like, well, guess what? I'm not home. So I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. I'm going to learn as much as I can. And when I go home, I'm going to make sure that nobody else ever has to go through this trauma. At least by the time they come here, they should feel that they can.
Which leads to why you decided to teach.
Yeah, which is why I'm teaching, because I never ever want anyone to get to a place where they're told, firstly, you're not home and now you can't sing, and then you're just terrible. And then you're sitting there and you cry yourself to sleep and out of bed. Every morning you cry and say, dear Lord, just give me the strength to get up and do this again. So yeah, no, that was the experience of being overseas. But also the joy then of getting on that stage, and they understand the music better than anywhere else. You sing their Italian music and they understand it. They laugh in the right place at the right jokes. And when you finish, they give you a standing ovation. Seriously, I'm not complaining.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. I want to know, though, how easy it is to make a career out of what you do. Is it every young girl out there who has got a beautiful voice like you? Are the chances there that they will be able to be as successful as you?
You know what? Everybody has a chance to be successful. It's not about how ambitious you are. It's about how much faith you have.
Okay, explain that.
You have to believe that you can. You know, there are some people who have like 5, 6 jobs, and then there's somebody who has never been employed. It's not because that person who's getting 6 jobs is so much better than the other ones that are unemployed. It's because they have faith. They believe that they can do the 6 jobs. Now, the one person who's unemployed is sitting there feeling sorry for themselves and thinking, why is nobody giving me a job? Well, get up. They're not going to come knock at your door and ask you, Tsepang staying here, can we please give her a job? So the singer that gets the opportunities is the singer who's going to say, I want to sing, and I'm going to go out there and sing. And if I have to stand at the door of the SABC and sing 5 notes for them to give me that job, or to even give me 2 minutes of an interview, then I'll do that. So the success doesn't rely upon your ambition or your talent. It relies upon your faith. You have
And
to
Sibongile,
believe.
where do you get your faith from?
Well, I'm a Christian, so my faith is in God. So I pray a lot. I'm a saved, born-again Christian. So yeah, that's my faith.
Okay, we're going to take another break, and then we'll continue. I want to know who's Sibongile at home, what you do with your family. After the break, we'll continue with Sibongile. Now, we would really appreciate any suggestions that you have for us, any comments, who you would like us to chat to. My Twitter handle is @Tsepi_Mutsegua. Stay with SABC News. You're watching the final segment of Up Close. We give newsmakers a human face, and we continue with Sibongile. Sibongile, you're a mom.
I am.
You go home. You have to make sure homework is done.
Oh, no.
Meals are cooked.
No.
Tell us about that.
No,
who does that?
No. I don't do that. You see, I was very clever in that I share my son with his dad.
Okay.
So he gets to do that. Me, I get to be the cool mom who takes my son to Amsterdam and do all of those nice things. If my son wants to do all the cool stuff, he knows he can talk to mom. If he's got issues that need attention, like, stuff that he can't talk to dad about, he knows I'm a cool mom. So he can talk to me about sex. He can talk to me about relationships. I'm that kind of mom. I'm the cool mom. I don't do homework.
That's really different, Sibongile. Most of the time you find, regardless of the career life that women have, they're the ones who go back home and have to make sure that there's supper on the table and there's homework done. Who made that choice in the relationship?
I did. You know what? Here's the thing. We decide as people, I want to control everything. I want to make sure that everything happens the way that I want it to happen. And then you say, I'll control this man, even if we're not together anymore, by keeping this child and by limiting access to the child. I decided, you know what? If he wants access to the child, if he wants to be with his child, hey, more time for me to me. So I decided he can do that. I'll be the cool mom. I'll do the vacations and I'll do the fun stuff.
And how do other women around you respond to that? Because
I never asked them, you know, because seriously, I don't care.
Really?
They can do their lives, I'll do mine. Mine is happy. I'm very happy. I'm very content. And luckily enough for me, I don't have a lot of people around me, so I'm not concerned about other people's opinions of what I do and how I conduct my life. So I don't know what other women have to say or what they think of that. And quite frankly, my dear, I don't care.
Well, it's a good attitude, I must say, especially being in the public sphere. Let's talk about your travels. Your favorite place to visit?
Rome.
Why?
Beautiful Italian men. Beautiful architecture.
Okay.
Wonderful history. Beautiful Italian men. Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, okay. Rome.
Rome, definitely.
Yes.
And what do you enjoy doing when you're relaxing at home?
At home, I read.
Okay.
I read. I never watch TV. I listen to music, but I read.
So I hope you're going to be watching up close.
I will definitely watch up close just to see how much I embarrassed myself. But mostly, no, I would read.
Your personality, you're very, you know, I'm quite surprised. You're very upfront. You're very comfortable in yourself. Where does that come from?
From living alone. I don't get to be told how bad I am. I don't get to hear a lot of stuff. I spend time with myself. I look in the mirror, I'm like, ooh, today you don't look too good. Them eyes are swollen, what's going on? Then I'm like, by 12 they should be down, it should be fine. So I live alone and I spend more time on my own, and so I don't get to hear a lot of so I'm very comfortable with myself, and nobody tells me you shouldn't say that, because I don't get to talk to people a lot. So I talk to myself so I can say whatever I want, and I'm not going to tell myself to shut up.
Before we wrap up, just a few questions. Your favorite food?
It used to be rice and mince, but now I've just stopped eating red meat, so it's now rice and tuna.
And your favorite book of all time?
Bible.
Your favorite movie of all time?
Made in Manhattan. But my favorite franchise movie is The Fast and Furious. I love cars.
All right. You love cars, so that means you drive a very fast car.
I do drive a sports car.
Sibongile, you've been such a pleasure. You've actually left me speechless. Thank you so much for making the time to chat to us.
No, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and as we close off, tell us what you're working on now. I know you're going to be performing on Friday. Just quickly touch on that.
I'll do the Joe of Jazz. It's a 5-piece band with 3 backing vocals and me pretending to sing jazz. You know, I'm an opera singer, right? Don't tell anyone. I'm singing jazz. It's a lot of jazz standards with a touch of opera, a touch of hip-hop. I'm a hip-hop head, so I love that whole hip-hop thing because I love dancing. So
wow, we're looking forward to that.
I hope to see you there. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of nice stuff, jazz, and Kwasa Kwasa is in there too.
Wow.
And there is a touch of opera in one song, maybe 2. Yeah, and that's on Friday at 10 o'clock at the Baseline, Newtown.
All right, thank you so much, Sibongile.
Thank you.
And that's how we wrap up today's show. Remember that Twitter handle is @Tshepi-Motsekua. Drop us a line, tell us what you think of the show. You've been watching Up Close, SABC News, DSTV 4.